we have decided that this is necessary, but we will naturally have problems in the changeover period.
What do you think is going to be the biggest problem for you when you do make the changeover?
To find my way in Stockholm. You used to go in certain directions and now everything will be changed.
Yeah, I think they are a little afraid of it. They think it is worse than it really is.
Do you think this is going to increase the number of accidents?
Oh yes, I think so. I think so.
On September the 3rd, Sweden becomes the last country in continental Europe to drive on the left-hand side of the road and switches over to the right, leaving only the islands of Britain, Iceland, Ireland, Cyprus and Malta as the odd men out in the rest of Europe. This raises the question, as we make our second try to join the common market, should we follow suit and also change over to drive on the right-hand side of the road? The cost would be approximately the same per head of population in Sweden and in Britain. In Sweden it's something like £5 a head. In Britain it would be about 6, or a total of £300 million. The Swedes, of course, do have more pressing reasons for making the change. What then are the problems facing a country that engages on a social revolution of this kind? Physically, the biggest task will be to change round thousands of traffic signs all over Sweden on the night of the 2nd and 3rd of September, so as to reverse the flow of the traffic, 2 million odd cars, buses and lorries. The midnight switch will be carried out by a small army of soldiers, police and special workers, and during the crucial hours, all private traffic will be banned from the roads. Sweden, in fact, will go to bed driving on the left and get up to drive on the right. Just before H-Day, H standing for Höger, which means right in Swedish, speed limits everywhere will be sharply reduced. The old traffic lights will be covered up. The forest of new ones waiting for H-Day will be unmasked. Every road sign will be changed or moved. Headlights, temporarily converted by strips of paper, will be instantly adjustable. The Swedes, though, have one big advantage, which Britain wouldn't share if we decided to follow their example. All Swedish cars have left-hand drive, because most of their cars are imported. The cost of the alterations to the roads is about £15 million, more than a third of the total bill. One reason it's so high is that in most Swedish cities, the planners have taken the chance to reorganize the whole traffic pattern, under the supervision of Mr. Olof Palme, Minister of Communications. Why, in the first place, have you decided that you must drive on the right-hand side of the road now?
It's simply a consequence of international traffic. We have an enormous increase in border crossings. People from other countries coming here, Swedish tourists going abroad. And in the long run, we have decided that this is necessary for traffic security, that we follow the international rules in this elementary field.
How much is it going to cost?
Roughly 40–45 million pounds for changeover, rebuilding of roads, changing buses, information and so on.
Do you think it's worth it? Is it necessary, essential?
Well, it's been decided almost unanimously by Parliament, and I think it will contribute to a greater traffic security after some time, but we will naturally have problems in the changeover period.
The psychological problems are greater than the technical ones, the Minister believes, and pedestrians face greater dangers than drivers. Motorists, in fact, are well catered for. The Swedish Automobile Association has devised a simple train yourself to drive on the right-hand side of the road kit and has already sold more than 100,000. Mr. Algren, what gave you the idea for this training circuit?
In fact, it was born in England several years ago. I was driving there and with a wheel on the right-hand side, and I found that I touched the curbs very often. So I got the idea to make a training yard to train people to know how to drive.
What actually does the instruction consist of?
She is going to drive with the right wheels on this white line to begin with.
See. Would you like to
Yes.
Start it off?
Ja, nu ska vi köra alltså på den här vita linjen. Försöka köra på linjen alltså.
Och jag visar dig om du missar.
While motorists practice the feel of driving, not only on the other side of the road, but on the other side of the car as well, the Swedish government is hoping the changeover will reduce the number of accidents caused by foreigners in Sweden and Swedes abroad. These have doubled in the past 4 years, and the number of cars crossing the borders is also growing rapidly. By 1970, it will be about 20 million.
Just det.
Now she's going right over the
Yes,
puck, so
right,
that's absolutely right,
Next
isn't it?
one. That.
Do you find that drivers find this difficult when they start?
Yeah, I think they are a little afraid of it. They think it is worse than it really is. Yes.
Yeah, that's good,
Yes,
isn't it?
Good. It's good. Next one is that.
Mr. Algren, you've been to England yourself a
Yes.
number of times. May I ask you, do you think England should also change and drive on the right-hand side of the road?
Yes, I really think so, but I am quite aware that it's a very, very big problem in England.
You mean it'd be very expensive?
Yes, it's very expensive here, you see. It costs 600 million crowns.
What do you think is going to be the biggest problem for you when you do make the changeover?
Well, I don't know. To find my way in Stockholm.
Why is that?
To find my way. I mean, you used to go in certain directions, and now everything will be changed.
I see, and it's all
And you don't know, and they will change the streets, you know, and there will be one-way roads in another direction and so on. I think it'll be difficult. But of course, that's no problem, because you will get used to it after a few days.
One of the firms that's gaining most financially from the changeover is the Scania Vabis bus company, with headquarters just outside Stockholm. Surprisingly, the cost of building new buses and converting old ones, nearly £20 million, is by far the biggest single item and accounts for nearly half of the total budget. Here's the Vice President of Scania Vabis, Mr. Levenhag.
Our main problem was in the first place to be ready to deliver all these buses when the day came, that is on the 3rd of September, which means that we constructed this bus. You can see this bus line here. We constructed this bus for the right-hand traffic, which was necessary. And we have also been forced to double our production to be able to deliver to all the Swedish cities, almost every Swedish city.
So the 500 are being brand new, are being supplied for each day. How many buses in all will be sort of?
About 3,500 will be put into traffic ready for left-hand traffic on the 3rd of September. And out of these 3,500, we will have delivered roughly 2,500.
So this means that Sweden's going to have an awful lot of new buses on its roads.
We are rather happy about that, yes.
The British firm of Leyland should also be happy about the changeover. They've sold 250 buses to Sweden. Another shrewd line in buses is put by Lars Schult, Sweden's right-hand traffic commissioner.
We have about 1,000 left-hand buses, which we will sell to England. That's why we have no objections if you will keep left-hand driving for some years.
The changeover to the right will mean the end for most of the trams in Sweden. In Stockholm and other big cities, they'll be withdrawn after H Day. As a taxi driver, what do you feel about this changeover to driving on the right-hand side of the road?
Oh yes, I think we have to do it, because some other countries in Europe, they go on the right side, so I think we have to do it. But I think it will be very difficult when we change over to the right side.
Why do you think? What will be the difficulties?
Oh yes, you see, we are used to drive here on the left side. It's easier when we go abroad, it's easier just to follow the traffic. But when we change here in Stockholm, we are so used to go on the left side. We know every building, we know every street, and we are just used to go just on the left side. And therefore I think it's more difficult to change over to the right side.
Do you think this is going to increase the number of accidents?
Oh yes, I think so. I think so.
Opinions vary about the accident rate after H Day, but most Swedes are agreed on one thing. When they leave their homes on September the 3rd, everything will seem to be travelling twice as fast as usual, and on the wrong side of the road.